Welcome to Bellicro. Today's topic is noise pollution and the health considerations. I had no reason to understand that noise pollution was more than just a nuisance. Now, I thought it was just something to disrupt creativity and trying to make a video. But after we've looked at it, I realized that I've always managed to live on just the outskirts of town and avoided most of it, but sometimes the town comes to you. OSHA would say 85 decibels would require hearing protection, and they're saying the average decibels of Madrid are around 65. We also know that streets and workplaces may share a lot of the same considerations, but people in the streets, they don't protect themselves from honking horns and police sirens and ambulances and construction jackhammers and other things because they exist and they're a part of life. But as far as I'm concerned, diesel cars really contribute to the noise contribution overall. In general, a Volkswagen 4-cylinder diesel is about the same decibels at idle than a Camaro Z28, which has a V8 engine. Scooters and motorbikes, they also don't tend to like mufflers very much. And the non-stop road work, of course, has a terrible effect on health. Now, I thought it was just me being an old guy and grumpy, but actually, it could actually have effects on people. And, aside from the humor. And what I didn't know is it affects something called cortisol. Now, cortisol is a hormone which helps us control blood sugars, regulate metabolisms, and salt. So these are all very beneficial, and I'll leave a link about that because the effect on salt and water balance is very important to blood pressure, and of course we all want to keep our blood pressure as good as can be. So the CDC talks about loud workplaces and environments and the correlation to coronary disease, and I'll leave a link to that. Now, a story here that caught my attention is lowering noise levels in the Spanish capital, here, Madrid, could prevent nearly 500 cardiovascular and respiratory deaths per year, plus improve overall happiness. The study has calculated the number of deaths attributed to illness caused by exposure to high noise levels, has calculated the benefits of reducing those levels in the Spanish capital. In the study, a group of Spanish researchers tried to calculate using statistical models the scope of the problem in Madrid and the effect it had on people over the age of 65. Now, we talked about siestas and the value of siestas, especially for retirees and hot weather. There's nothing wrong with a nice nap for many people. The study published in the journal Environmental Research showed that daytime noise levels were connected to 1,048 cardiovascular related deaths a year and an annual 1,060 deaths due to respiratory illnesses. Researchers calculated that had they reduced noise levels in Madrid by 1 decibel, they could have prevented up to 468 deaths, 284 of those cardiovascular, and 184 respiratory related. Around 80% of all noise produced in Madrid comes from traffic, and we talked about diesel cars and motorcycles and all that. And that really does play a big role, but road construction and building and new buildings and exciting good things a lot of times, but does put a stress on society. Now, where one could live in the village thinking they could escape, well, maybe it'll catch up to you. Those studies have found that the effect could be down to cortisol. Now, we're going to talk about cortisol, a hormone in the body released in response to stress. Noise increases stress, which means the body releases more cortisol, in turn producing more fat tissue and increasing the supply of energy. The effect can often be worsened cardiovascular and respiratory problems. Research also examined ways to reduce noise, and that gets into a bunch of studies, and we'll talk about that in future chapters, but we're just happy to be able to talk about it at all. I certainly hope that this is beneficial. I had no idea there was a correlation between cardiovascular disease and noise pollution. This was an education for me. Thank you.